Big hero.
Really don't like to talk about it, sir.
You sure took care of those two bad men, Joey.
My name is Tom.
I'm a peaceful man. I'm a very non-violent man. Everyone knows me, knows I'm not violent at all, that I believe in strict pacifism and would never do anything silly such as a scissor sneak attack. As you can see, I have a history of violence. Hi, welcome to Bomb Squad Matinee. I'm sorry. I'm your host and master of ceremony, Tanner Richard Kraft. With me, I have...
You think there's any market for Sigma male TikTok edits of Tom Stahl?
We're working on it.
I'm Austin Zwiebelman.
I'm Viggo Morgenstein.
If you couldn't tell from the reference to the Quick and the Dead podcast, I think that's the one I did that in?
Yep.
Today we're talking about David Cronenberg's 2005, if you ask me, masterpiece. It makes it sound like it came out in 2005, if you ask me, and the masterpiece part is an undisputed fact. But it's disputed what year it came out in, the way I phrased that. We're talking about a history of violence. Before we get into a history of violence, A History of Violence is a movie about a man with mistaken identity. Kind of. Sort of. Not really. This was inspired by a conversation I heard Austin and Scott having, and I was going to bring this up to both of them, but then Scott wasn't here. But what's your favorite movie about a mistaken identity? Austin, we'll start with you.
You know, I cheated, and I asked Reddit this question earlier today. And they almost
Did you
all
actually?
said, yeah.
Going to r/movies right now.
Almost all of them said Passion of the Christ.
No, not this again!
It was like trying to cheat on your math homework by copying off a business major. I didn't get shit. I actually had a treacherous time with this question, mostly because I'm not so reverential about Vertigo and North by Northwest as the majority of movie people. So, and I also figured that one of you two might claim Galaxy Quest. So my answer is gonna be kind of silly. For my money, my second favorite mistaken identity film is Richard Linklater's 2023 film Hitman. It features Glenn Powell of Top Gun Maverick fame as a psychology professor who suddenly has to pretend to be a contract killer in order to assist the local cops with sting operations. It features Glenn Powell doing several very funny impressions, like an American Psycho impression, and cinematic use of the iPhone Notes app. Great picture! Back to you, Tanner.
Good answer, good answer. I love that movie. Hitman's an amazing movie. I honestly consider it an all-time favorite. But I also consider 6 other Richard Linklater movies all-time favorites, and also probably 2 more on top of that. It's almost like he's my favorite director or something. Tim, what say you, my brother? What is your favorite mistaken identity movie?
So, much like Austin, I had a surprising amount of trouble with this one. Like, I feel like this is a trope that I've seen a lot, but for some reason, thinking of movies that did this trope was difficult for me, so I'm just gonna go with some low-hanging fruit, going with the Coen brothers, The Big Lebowski. Love Big Lebowski. It's a great film, very funny, very interesting, artistic. Like it's definitely like a baby's first movie, but like it's a good fucking movie. It's just good picture. Back to you, Dan.
Great answer. So I already know my answer by heart to this question. Unlike most of the time when I suggest, what's your favorite XYZ movie? And I go ahead and pull up an IMDb list of movies that fit that criteria because I can't think of anything. However, I've still pulled up an IMDb list of movies that apparently meet this criteria just because I think there are some funny answers in here. Listen. Number 1 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's not...
I know. Number 2 is Dead Poets Society.
That's also not School of Rock.
Number 3, Back to the Future.
I guess.
Kind of.
In
Number 4, Bullet Train. Number 5, The Goonies. Number 6, Superbad. Number 7.
This is just like a list of movies.
Number 7, The Big Lebowski.
Are Are you sure that this isn't just like the mistaken list?
No, it's Mistaken Identity. Number 8, The Hangover. Number 9, Disney Pixar's Cars. We got The Parent Trap, Rocky Horror Picture Show, White Chicks. I don't think White Chicks, it's a mistake. I'm gonna put it out there. It's definitely a misleading identity. I don't think it's a mistaken identity. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Blues Brothers, Kick-Ass, Ghosted. I might be spoiling some of these movies, because I don't know.
Mistaken identity is not a major part of the plot in most of these.
The live-action Aladdin movie's on here, but interestingly enough, not the animated one.
This says a lot about society.
Despicable Me 4, Coming to America, My Cousin Vinny, Euro Trip, Toy Story 2, kind of, I guess. Crazy Rich Asians. That's not correct.
The My Cousin Vinny one does raise a question that I had asked upon this question, which was like, does somebody like being framed for murder or like convicted of a crime they didn't commit, like, is that a mistaken identity thing? Because like I was thinking maybe The Fugitive could count.
Maybe.
Fucking great.
Maybe. I think that could count. But, you know, if we go ahead and count that, then I don't get to bring up another great example on this list, which is Zombieland Double Tap. The Lizzie McGuire movie.
Yeah.
Madagascar 2. Dude, Where's My Car? House. Or Houseu, as hipsters call it. Starsky and Hutch. Desperately Seeking Susan. Batteries not included. Stranger Than Paradise, Dumb and Dumber 2, next Friday, but not Friday after next. Or the original Friday. Also, His Girl Friday is right after next Friday on this list. That's just some random movies from the top 100 on this IMDb list for mistaken identities. You guys want to know what's number 22 on this list for movies with mistaken identities?
What, Vertigo?
No, but it is my answer to the question. Vertigo and North by Northwest, neither of them are on this list. But my answer to the question is number 22 on this list. Austin said it earlier. That's right, it's Galaxy Quest. I fucking love Galaxy Quest. I got to see it in theaters earlier this year, which was such a treat, considering that movie came out a year after I was born, so I wouldn't have been able to see it then. Tim, honestly, it's my favorite movie by a lot of these people. Justin Long's like 7 years old in it. Kind of crazy. Sam Rockwell, big breakthrough role. Dwight from The Office is in the background of the shot. Of a shot. Rainn Wilson, I'm sorry I forgot your name for a second. Anyway, Galaxy Quest is a fucking amazing movie about a bunch of aliens. Basically, what if a bunch of aliens came to Earth assuming Star Trek was real and they needed Captain Kirk's help? The only thing that could have made Galaxy Quest funnier is if William Shatner was actually the star of it, and also it was a mockumentary where they trick a bunch of people dressed like aliens to trick William Shatner into thinking the plot of Galaxy Quest is happening to him. That would be very funny. Anyway, it's funny we talk about all these mistaken identity movies because I'm just gonna go out here and say it. Spoiler alert for A History of Violence. This is actually not a mistaken identity movie. They got him dead to fucking rights. He is the man they think he is.
Enjoy, let's go.
What do we think of the movie? Well, we'll start with Tim. What'd you think of A History of Violence?
So I watched this movie for the first time last year when Webster played it in 35mm, and I do quite enjoy this film. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Cronenberg, but it's definitely like in the upper ranks for me. And I definitely loved getting to see it on film. The colors were so good on that film print. So getting to see it in that format was very good. Yeah, this is a great movie. Viggo Mortensen is fantastic in it. I watched I watched this like in halves for this recording. I watched the first half last night with Cody, who she had seen the movie before, and I'll get into that story when we get to general discussion. But she had an interesting takeaway when we started watching it, which was like she noticed that they kept talking about dreams a lot in the beginning of the movie, and she was like, is this basically their way of saying that like his life with his wife and kids is the dream that he has to wake up from because inevitably he's going to go back to being a killer, which I thought that was interesting.
There's a deleted scene of this movie that would have been a dream sequence where the main character basically shoots up, or Tom shoots up whoever Ed Harris's character name is, and the Ed Harris character is like bleeding out. It's very gratuitous, but Ed Harris basically says some shit like, you can't run forever or something like that. It's very much, hey, dipshit, here's the theme of the movie type of scene, which is probably why it was deleted.
Yeah.
So you're Cody actually might be more onto something than any of us realize.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's definitely an interesting take, and like I hadn't looked at it that way, but I do think that there's something there that's very interesting. And then I watched the second half this morning. Yeah, very good movie. I do have one critique with the movie, and that is that this isn't something that bothers me most of the time, but I do think a lot of the violence in this movie is too deliberately choreographed. This was something that I saw a lot. It just felt like a lot of the times whoever Vigo was fighting against was like really playing into his moves. I also noticed this like when the kids fighting the bullies, like they're like, oh, we have to let him kick this guy in the nuts and then punch this guy in the face. It felt like everybody was kind of playing into the lead's moves, and I kind of felt like Joey's brother at the end just going, how do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up? It just bothered me here a little bit because I think this is a movie where the violence kind of calls for some urgency, and I didn't
very much so
get that with the way that it was portrayed. That being said, I do want to compliment the violence for its gnarliness and how, like, after the fact it makes you sit with it. It's very ugly violence, which obviously is the point of the movie. So I definitely like that a lot. I think that's done very well. Like, you can tell it's a Cronenberg movie when you see somebody's jaw blown off. Yeah, good picture. A lot of killing. Back to you, Tam.
Yeah, you would think it's not a Cronenberg movie for like 20 minutes, and then Tom shoots that guy in the fucking face in the diner, and then we see what that looks like afterwards, and we go, oh yeah, no, the body horror guy did do this.
Yeah.
All right. All great stuff. I do specifically want to touch on the violence. I don't notice how choreographed it is. Obviously that's a fair critique if you see that. I almost wonder if it's intentional, considering Cronenberg was really intentional with everything in regards to the violence in this movie. Yeah. I don't know. But Austin, what did you think of the movie?
I gotta stick on the violence thing. There's a trivia thing about this. So
please share.
Did not do stunt choreography beforehand. They choreographed it like when they got there. So David Cronenberg got these DVDs about like how to kill people in the street. They were like self-defense DVDs. And he was like, yeah, and wrote down a bunch of shit. And then when they got to set, they had like one stunt guy who they like kind of like improv'd the fight scenes a little bit and got the angles like when they were there, because Cronenberg doesn't storyboard stuff. So there actually was not fight choreography, and you're like the first person I've ran into where I've actually considered, like, would it have been better if they did that? Because what you're talking about is 100% there. I just, the way they talk about it, it's like, oh, it's more organic and true to life this way. But then you think, like, maybe with stunt choreography, it wouldn't look like two guys are sitting there letting Vigo, like, kick the shit out of them and stuff like that. Huh. Anyway, interesting. Okay, so, A History of Violence. This is a picture that Sight and Sound called Cronenberg's most mainstream, generic, and Americanized offering since he did The Dead Zone. has been like quietly trading places back and forth with Eastern Promises as my second favorite Cronenberg film, with the #1 spot forever reserved for The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, one of the most emotionally devastating creature features I've ever seen. Cronenberg's like sudden shift from his better known body horror stuff like Existence and Crash kind of into a trilogy of much more approachable thrillers, all starring Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, have caused some retrospectives to wonder if he'd like entered Ron Howard mode and was consciously trying to clap an Oscar for the Canadians, because at this time it had been 7 years since Titanic swept the place. But we actually have Cronenberg on the record at TIFF 50 revealing that A History of Violence was a cash grab. You see, before this, he made a movie called Spider with Ralph Fiennes and Miranda Richardson, and that movie fell $4 million short of the $12 million goal for the funding. So he essentially spent 2 years rocking out and not getting a paycheck, Brady Corbet style. Then New Line Cinema whipped out $32 million for Cronenberg to adapt this graphic novel that the American Pie guys over at Bender Spink had been developing for like half a decade since they got the rights. And thank God they chose him as a director. According to Viggo Mortensen, Josh Olson's original screenplay for this was deeply unremarkable and kind of silly. Probably because, from what I've heard, the original 1997 Josh Wagner graphic novel that Vertigo put out is bad and sucks heavily. Cronenberg
I have never heard anyone say anything good about the graphic novel other than its minimalist art style. I hear about the art more than the writing.
It has aesthetic benefits, and the story is ass. So Cronenberg, right, he did uncredited rewrites for this, with his biggest contributions that I could find being completely rewriting the third act, along with inserting the film's 2 sex scenes between Tom and Edie. If you read up on the graphic novel, the third act is straight up cheeks. Everybody in town finds out that Tom is Joey, but the cops fail to Mirandize him correctly when they arrest him. So he beats the charges.
That's not how that wouldn't work in real life.
Objection!
Then he You forgot to read him his rights correctly. This fucking New York murderer? Sorry, he's on the streets again. But, okay, after that, then he flies back to New York, and he has to, like, mercy kill his old friend Richie, who has been tortured by the mob ever since Tom bailed 20 years ago. They've just been keeping him in a closet, like, torturing this guy. One of the things I love about this picture, though, is how mundane it is at times. How well it, depicts day-to-day life. Because that helps emphasize that when Tom transforms into Joey Wick, that he is so far above what the average person is capable of in violent situations. It does a similar thing that movies like Unforgiven and Wind River did to great success, where it sets very realistic standards about how capable people are, and the grotesque effects of violence on the human body. So, like, thank God Cronenberg stepped in and removed the fucking one-eyed quadriplegic who somehow survived 2 decades of mob torture and the chainsaw fight with the final boss in a warehouse. I shit you not. And to pivot back to Cronenberg's other contribution, the 2 sex scenes. The next time Zoomers on Twitter who think sex scenes in movies are all just like heinous porn that adds nothing to the plot, if you need a counterexample, this would be a good picture to bring up. They highlight, like, the shifting power dynamics, the sexual equality in the first scene versus, like, the fucking aggression on the stairs. Plus, like, the illusion of shared history with the cheerleader football roleplay, later fucking shattered when the truth of who Tom was before his life with Edie comes out. The scene on the stairs says something really emotionally complex about the link between, like, violence and sexuality, like the way trauma, anger, and desire can all coexist inside of intimate relationships. And also, this is the first American studio film to depict a couple in the 69 position.
Nice.
So it's also a film history moment on top of all that.
Thank God we got that on VHS.
Boom! Tanner, what's You want to say it? One of us has to say it first.
This was the last major Hollywood studio movie to have a wide release on VHS tape.
There we go. A good one to go out on, honestly.
Yeah.
Cronenberg was like really a perfect director for this project. He definitely contributed some of its most memorable aspects. And for me at least, I've been regularly kind of disappointed by some of his more famous horror entries like Scanners and Videodrome and The Brood, all of which seem to have reputations that are oversized compared to the actual quality of the films. But it's sort of like what we found recently in Zach Cregger, where his comedy background makes for these smart horror movies with higher overall entertainment value. I think bringing Cronenberg's body horror like violence into a low-key thriller like this creates something with a very strong impact. Overall, I would give this a 9 out of 10. It's impossibly good, and I think it holds up like crazy. Back to you, Tanner.
Great stuff, great stuff. You were singing Cronenberg's praises here, and I guess I'll just get right into my thoughts here. Rewatching it this morning, I went, yeah, this is like top 50 for me all time, probably, for reasons I'll get into here. Well, number one, it's easily my favorite David Cronenberg movie, and I like Cronenberg movies. I don't really like Videodrome, but other than that, I kind of dig his other stuff. To the audience, if you're interested in watching Videodrome, allow me to sell you on its biggest feature. You will see this man walk in and out of every single room he enters in this movie.
All right, Devin Dillon, shut the fuck up.
I didn't know we had history with this.
Sorry, this is a talking point I stole from Devin 6 years ago.
Long live the new flesh.
Where to start with this movie? Number one, I'm just gonna go out here and say it. I think for me personally, I would say this is easily in a very storied career with 3 Oscar nominations. I would say this is easily Viggo Mortensen's best performance. So much so that it's insane to me he didn't get an Oscar nomination for it. And it's not like the Oscars ignored this movie. And it's especially not like the acting branch ignored this movie, because William Hurt, God bless his soul, gets an Oscar nomination for doing a silly accent for 8 minutes.
Hey, he's also got the facial hair.
It's really, his facial hair looks so weird. I'm sorry, can I just say that? His facial hair looks so fucking weird, right? It looks fucking insane. Am I crazy? It looks weird.
Yeah, it does.
Broham. Broham. Oh my God. William Hurt is good in this movie. It's just so bizarre that this was the performance they singled out, because it's a good performance. Is this really William Hurt, the guy that was nominated for Best Acting Awards 3 years in a row in the 80s? This is his 4th Oscar nom, huh? Okay, sure, I guess. Why didn't Viggo get anything? Why didn't Ed Harris get anything? Ed Harris is a much more... not the point. I also believe it also got a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, which, after hearing what you just said about Olsen's original script, very funny. Maybe that's why Olsen has only written 2 feature films since this movie came out. We'll get into that in general discussion. But number one, Viggo Mortensen's fucking incredible in this, especially if you rewatch the movie and you watch that first half of the movie with the knowledge that he actually is that Joey guy. You kind of read everything he does really differently. And you can see the kernels are there about him lying. It's really interesting. Like, honestly, on this viewing, when those guys went into the diner, obviously Tom, his instinct is, I don't want to fight these guys. I don't want to fight these guys. But at the same time, especially when they start yelling, you can almost see Viggo's kind of, like, you can see deep down in his face, he's itching. He's itching for them to give him an excuse. I just think that's interesting. Obviously, he wants to escape his life. He doesn't want to be that evil, murderous man anymore. But I think it's interesting that, it's almost trying. It's like Joey's fighting to come out. It's interesting. It's brilliant. It's subtle. This movie is perfectly paced. This movie's 96 minutes long. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? If they made this movie today, it'd be 2.5 hours long.
100%. Oh, yeah.
And for the worst, right? I don't think there's an hour worth more of nonsense in this, because you know what? An extra hour means more violence. And I'm going to be honest, if there was more violence in this movie, I think it would lose its effectiveness. I think it would lose the point. because for me, the reason why I love this movie so much is because of the philosophy on violence it has. Cronenberg has said his entire career has been about his fascination with the human body. And you know, he talks about how there's like, you know, there's a lot of art, there's a lot of religion where the whole purpose of it is to turn away from the human body, whether it be the lustful, sexual, beautiful parts of it, the outside, or the violent and gooey part. Cronenberg, you know, says, you know, why are there no, Elliot in Dead Ringer says, why are there no beauty contests for the insides of the body? That's sort of just been his fascination. So he talks about how, like, you know, violence is a thing that happens, but you need to sit in that. A lot of movies, and I like a lot of action movies, they depict violence as just this silly little thing. The violence in this movie is a dark, gross, disgusting, scary, terrifying, disturbing thing. Even like in the diner, when the violence is arguably 100% justified, because I'll be honest, I do think those two guys were going to kill everybody in that diner if he didn't do anything. I do think that's what was going to happen in that movie. I think that's the reason why the first scene of the movie is one of those two guys murdering a child.
100%.
To emphasize that if Tom doesn't act, it will go that way.
Yeah.
It is the most justified violence possible, and it's thrilling. It's exciting. You know, he kicks those two guys' ass with like a normal tool, grabs a gun, boom, boom, another boom. And you think, wow, what an awesome, cool. And you know what? It's kind of excitingly choreographed. And then Cronenberg makes us sit in that blown up head. And that's what Cronenberg says. Even the most justifiable violence possible, which in that case, it is the most justifiable violence possible, it has consequences. The consequence, even if your actions are justifiable, the consequences of the violence remain exactly the same. And Cronenberg has this thing here, which I think just so perfectly sums it up. The body does not know the morality of the act that was performed on it.
Curious.
You shoot someone in the head, it doesn't matter if you were just, you know, doing a political assassination, or you're a soldier in war, or you're just trying to protect your family or people around you. When the head fucking explodes, it's not like the body knows, you know, not like the body knows that it was being shot for a good or bad reason. It's going to look gross. It's going to look disgusting. So what Cronenberg does is he shows this thing. He shows us his act of incredible violence, makes us sit in the consequences of it, and is like, all right, if you can applaud that, if you can cheer for that, what else will you cheer for? And again, I think most of Tom's violence in this movie is mostly justified.
Yeah.
Except when he hits his son.
Yeah.
Like,
That is the only, and that is treated as it's an interesting moment. It is like the one act of violence in this movie that isn't bloody, which is kind of interesting. Make of that what you will. Anyway, point being is that my personal philosophy on violence, I consider myself a pacifist. I know I like to say I'm going to kick your ass a lot. I don't actually want to do a violence because I personally believe violence is just not, for me personally, I used to say it's because I thought violence is immoral, but I now believe that violence is a tool that should be rarely used, but a tool nevertheless. And the reason why it is a tool that should be rarely used is like what Cronenberg says, the consequences are gross, disgusting, disturbing, and terrifying. Sometimes violence is justified. Feels really relevant that I'm talking about this right now. That's all I'll say. I don't want to get us in any trouble. I'm just saying there are conversations happening in the spheres right now that are a lot about the power of violence and the justification of violence and when to use said violence. My personal belief is always that all life is sacred, but sometimes, I don't know, violence is, life is sacred, our health is sacred, it should be considered sacred. Sometimes things need to happen, and I'm not saying that anything that happened recently was necessary. I'm just saying violence is a tool, and I think I can't think of a movie better that more expertly shows that even when violence is justified, even when massive acts of violence are justified, it still has consequences. And I think a lot of movies, action movies, I love. You know, I fucking love movies like Die Hard, Matrix, and John Wick. I fucking love movies like that. We don't really sit in the consequences of the violence much in these movies, though, do we?
Nah.
Maybe in one of the John Wicks, but not so much Die Hard or The Matrix. It's just something to think about. So, cut to, yeah. I fucking love this movie. We'll have more to say in general discussion after a brief commercial break.
Hot pot of coffee!
Welcome back from that commercial break for another commercial. Look at that shit behind me. That's a movie palette. That one's for the movie Punch Drunk Love. The one Tim's pointing at, that's for the movie Mandy. Basically what it does, it takes the primary color of every frame of the movie, cuts it on these little slices, puts it all on a palette for you to hang up on your wall. You can get one for either of the movies we have. You can get one for the movie we're talking about today. I imagine it would look really green. Or any of your other favorite movies. And if they don't have it on the website, for a little extra money, you can have one custom made. So go to moviepalette.com, add your movie palette to your cart, but before you check out, enter the code SQUAD15 to save 15% on your order. Thank you so much for watching. Now back to the show. So guys, when is the last time you were justified in performing violence on someone?
Oh, jeez. It's been a while.
Sorry, that's a loaded question. I don't actually expect you all to answer it. I just thought it was funny. I can't even remember the last time I did a violence, like an actual physical violence to someone. I can't remember the last time I did that.
I got in a pretty big fist fight in 6th grade. That's the last one I can remember.
I feel like I remember, I don't remember the context, but I feel like I was at a situation once where I'm a bigger person, so sometimes the threat of violence is as much of a tool as violence itself is. As a pacifist, I feel like I'm allowed to threaten it as much as I want, and it doesn't violate my personal pacifism rules. Sometimes if a guy's fucking around, you got to imply I'm gonna fucking toss myself at you, and that's not gonna be good for either of us, but it's gonna be especially bad for you. And sometimes they stop talking shit. Yeah. Sometimes you got to do something. That's all I'm saying.
I once had a friend who was much bigger than me. He used to play football, but he wasn't buff. He was big, kind of.
He was him.
Right. He was a big guy. I think he was. His mother was Costa Rican, right? And one time, when things got weird and heated, and the friend group was fighting, he sat on me, and that was when it occurred to me. It's like, oh, never fuck with somebody who like weighs this much. Holy shit!
No, that's what I threaten on people. I threaten people. I will sit on you, and I know you cannot get me off of you.
It's true. No matter, like, oh, you think you've, like, lifted your fucking dad before or whatever? No,
it's different when it's a person, especially if that person starts ragdolling.
Yeah. So, maybe this is the unspoken millennial experience that you had, like, a justified fist fight at some time through K2 through 12. I don't know if I mean, I've never personally ever done an act of violence on a person, ever. But maybe that's one of those things we'll find out about when we're all in, like, nursing homes. It's just like, oh yeah, when I was 14, I fucking beat up a guy in health class. It's just, we're, like, all in, like, careers and shit, so we don't want to go on camera and, you know, jump on.
In the 7th grade, I pushed another kid because he accused me of calling another kid the R word, and I just said, I'm autistic. I wouldn't say that, and I slammed him into a locker. And you know what? I'm not saying I was right to do that. I'm just saying that guy had been fucking with me for a while, but after that, he never fucked with me.
You got his ass. And did that make the school violence in this more gratifying when that kid finally
I didn't make anyone bleed.
Yes, of course you were not on that level. And they point out in the film how kind of above and beyond the sun goes.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think the movie is doing an intentional thing there to be like, to compare and contrast with the son. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think he should have done that.
I don't know why, but
I know that shocked you. You were expecting me to say I think they deserved it.
No.
I'm not saying if they deserved it or not. I'm just saying I think the father was right to be like, you can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He has that really good line about, like, we can't afford a lawsuit right now. Like, you know, American media, like, it shows, like, school fights like it's a common thing, but somebody could absolutely take it too far
Yeah.
and it becomes something completely different that people don't, like, consider when they're, like, you know, 16 and pissed off.
I'll say
you know,
this. Initial nut shot was justified.
Yeah.
I think he should have stopped and ran away after that. You make your point. I'll fight back. But you can't, if you reach a, I don't know.
Maybe
This is a philosophical
maybe
thing.
one nut shot on one kid and then one hit to the face on the other kid. And then
Yeah, maybe stop after that, or hell, nut shot, turn around, stare down the other kid. That might be enough to make him back down.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the thing is they assume you won't do anything. The second you do something, that perception is shattered.
Yeah.
That's how it works in real life. People will intimidate you like that because you think you will not act on a threat of violence. But if you act on that threat of, and I think the movie see, that's what makes it's so, I can't think of another movie that explores the intricacies of violence as a tool like this.
To get more reductive about the violence, I was wondering, like, do you guys have any other examples of films that were not horror films, but features moments of, like, shocking brutality like this? Like, a couple that came to my mind were Drive, the elevator scene in Drive, famously, and there's a headshot near the end of Hell or High Water. One of the most grisly fucking realistic shot-in-the-head moments in a movie. Completely caught me by surprise. It's like grabbing a little piece of, like, a little piece of the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, putting it in a jar, and then just, like, dropping it in an Oscar bait drama movie.
See, it's interesting you bring that up. I'm glad you said that because my answer to that was going to be the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
The D-Day storm. Like that is, that movie was marketed, and for the large part, it is kind of just, it's a drama, but it's a bit of a blockbuster action movie. Blockbuster action movies don't usually make you sit in the reality of violent war like that opening scene does, and it sets the tone for the whole movie in an effective way. Spielberg's a genius for doing that because it makes you take the weight of, if that opening scene wasn't so violent, I think you'd be like a lot of the soldiers where you'd be like, why the fuck are we wasting our time getting this one kid?
Yeah.
But if a mother has already had to bury 4 of her children because of incredible violence like that, I do think we'd be justified in doing whatever the fuck it took to get that 5th son out of there and back home to his mom.
Yeah.
And that opening scene of violence helps establish that.
Yeah, and, like, I think I've heard this somewhere that, like, it's been said that, like, that scene would otherwise make a movie have an NC-17 rating if it wasn't for, like, the historical significance of the film.
It's very violent.
I was gonna bring that up if you didn't.
Yeah. Does Brawl on Cell Block 99 count as not horror?
It's like an action movie, right?
It's kind of gotta. That's like Craig Zoller's whole shtick. Is like, you know, it's like mostly a normal thriller with, like, you know, kind of normalish stakes, and then when the violence happened, it's so fucking gnarly.
Yeah, that would be my pick for just a non-horror movie with absolutely gnarly violence. I would also,
The Raid 2 is pretty gory. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
I was just also gonna say this. The point is sort of that it's not gratuitous, but, like, I think a movie that touches on some similar themes about violence is Funny Games, because it's, like, making you sit with how ugly the violence is and not letting you, like, have fun with it.
Yeah.
You know what? If we want to talk about movies that talk about how serious the violence is, how gratuitous violence can be, and how disgusting it is, that's not a horror movie. I hate to say it, because I think it's an actually kind of good movie. It's an okay movie, but The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that a horror movie.
It was a decent evangelical tool because it really hammers home, like, you know, this guy, he didn't just
Boy,
die
did that
for
guy
your sins.
fucking suffer for us, huh?
He died horribly for your sins, you know? I actually think, and I've long thought, that the PG-13 kind of, like, dark black bullet holes and gray blood might have actually done something bad for our society, and if more movies did this, we might actually be, like, mentally healthier as a collective.
I do wonder if how non-violent gun violence is in movies. Like, I don't like to say, ooh, the violent media is why people are violent, because then I'm going dangerously close to those fucking video game cranks from the 90s who I still think we're wrong.
Yes.
Mostly because if parents followed the...
They keep cycling back to it. They're doing it again. I'm fucking over it.
Yeah, I know. And here's my stance. I do think a 5-year-old playing a violent, bloody, gory video game would affect their psyche and actually probably would encourage them to do things they shouldn't be doing. Which is why a 5-year-old shouldn't play an M-rated game.
Yeah.
That's why it's recommended for 17 and up. That's why it's on the box.
That's why they can't buy it unless they're at least 17 or have a guardian.
Right. My stance is that they are onto something when they say violent video games encourages violence. If you play them at an age when you're not psychologically ready to comprehend that violence.
Right.
I wouldn't show a 5-year-old this.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't show them a history of violence. That would fuck them up.
I mean, unless they were like me at 5, I was really cool.
You'd be fine.
Yeah. Speaking of that, though, I'm going to get to my story.
The Cody story.
The Cody story of how she saw this movie. So this movie came out when she was 13, and she begged...
Just old enough.
She begged her parents to let her watch this movie because it was the first movie with Viggo Mortensen to come out since Return of the King. And she just really wanted to see the next Viggo Mortensen movie. And she was, I guess they like rented it from Blockbuster or something. She was just so excited to see the new Viggo movie. And she's just like, what are you doing, Aragorn?
Aragorn, no!
I like to think that, like, Cody just lived in a strange part of town where all the posters for Hidalgo never came out. It was in another movie called Hidalgo or something, and it just kind of crashed. I think Cody would have had a better time, though, with Hidalgo than not jumping straight to this.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So, speaking of the sex scenes.
Ooh, nice.
Did you know that Cronenberg was apparently so scared for the sex scene on the stairs that the actors were going to get hurt?
Well, they did.
Yeah.
They actually did.
Yeah, they did. Eddie got bruised. And in the other sex scene, they had to use makeup to hide the bruises.
That just seems so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Listen, haven't you ever started choking your wife out and then started fucking her consensually?
I can honestly say
Who among us?
There's got to be a comment down the pipe where when I said the son getting slapped was the only unjustified act of violence, there's like somebody fucking raring to go trying to type about when he choked out Edie.
Yeah, sorry, that was probably even more unjustified.
Oh yeah.
But it led to sex, so it's kind of hard to forget. When he slaps his son, the son, like, and I'm sorry to say this, but when he ran away after getting slapped, I don't know why, I saw visions of Evan Hansen running through the forest in that movie. I don't know why. He kind of has Dear Evan Hansen vibes in his face. I know that's mean. He's a good performer.
The whole time I was watching this, like, his face looks so much like, I keep forgetting his name, the fucking Social Network guy.
Andrew Garfield, Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg, yeah. He looks like such a discount Jesse Eisenberg. Like the hair and the face.
Does.
I gotta rewatch this with that in mind. That's some good shit. Yeah, it must have sucked so bad being Viggo Mortensen and Maria Bello, because they tried to initially like get padding on there and they ran a bunch of tests, and then Cronenberg.
Well, yeah, and the stunt worker was like, I've never had a director ask me for pads for a sex scene.
They padded like as much of the staircase as they could, and they tried to pad the actors, and then they just realized very quickly that the pads were too easy to reveal, like, and still have them give an organic performance. So imagine just how sad everyone felt on set when they realized, like, all right, we're shooting this without pads. Can't do it. Sorry. That must have sucked. And the shoot was long. It was a bad time.
Well, if we want to talk about that second sex scene, apparently I didn't interpret it this way. But apparently some audiences at the time interpreted that as a sexual assault scene.
Cronenberg mentions this on the commentary. He calls those people inattentive. That's his word for them.
Like, apparently he deliberately directed Maria Bello to kiss him first.
Yeah. It's
to make it obvious. It doesn't come off that way to me at all.
It's a fine line. Like, I don't necessarily think it's like an assault or a rape, but it's definitely like leaning into some not great territory.
It's leaning towards not great territory, but at least the intention of the movie is that was 100% consensual and possibly initiated by her.
Yeah.
I got this, there's this camera lens thing. Did you guys know the majority of this was shot on a 27mm f1.9 Panavision lens? Like most of the movie? Yeah. Yeah, apparently Cronenberg thought that the lens's photographic qualities matched what they were trying to convey psychologically in the movie. The lens, it like offers a wide field of view, or it was as wide as they could get on that camera without distorting the image. And it didn't separate people from the environment. He has a quote about this from a 2007 interview that he did with Stop Smiling about how he wanted to include the life around the characters and never isolate them, to suggest the sense of community and family. So yeah, if you ever want to see what like a whole movie shot with like basically one lens looks like, A History of Violence is actually one of those movies.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about alternate castings?
Sure.
Well, there were alternate castings?
2 people were offered the role of Tom Stahl. One of them was a fellow Tom, Thomas Jane.
I could see that.
Most famous for playing Punisher.
Yeah, that would work.
That is the more obscure actor that was offered the role of Tom Stahl. And there was another person offered Tom Stahl who I think, once I tell you who it is easily 20 times more famous than Viggo Mortensen is. The role of Tom Stahl was offered to Harrison Ford, who turned it down.
No, Maria Bello was like 36 when this was shot. That would have been fucking ridiculous.
I didn't kill other people, my wife. I don't care.
It's funny you say that, because Maria Bello, who was like late 30 something in this movie, the kid that plays the high school son is only 11 years younger than her.
Right. Maria Bello was 38.
That kid has serious baby face.
He was 27, if I'm remembering correctly.
He was my age. Do I look like a high schooler? No. What am I going to do? Smoke weed with a girl like he did? No, I can't do that. I look like an adult.
They had to cut that scene for when this movie played on airplanes. The scene they had to cut of everything was them smoking a joint in public.
Why?
Because it's drugs in public, man. You can't show that on an airplane. It's very silly.
I wouldn't want to watch any of this shit on a plane. It won't be real.
That's fair. Imagine the person sitting next to you is just some mild-mannered, like on their way to a business conference, and they look over, fucking jaw is gone on that dude.
I did that when I flew recently. Someone was watching Ballerina a couple rows in front of me, and I don't know. The violence is mostly cartoony in that movie, but then sometimes it gets really bloody.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here trying to watch 30 Rock, and then I look over to my right, and then Ana de Armas is shooting someone in the head, and I go, huh.
Oh.
Yeah. This kind of.
And then I go back to Alec Baldwin, and then I look back at the shooting, and then I look back at Alec Baldwin,
Oh, no.
and then the gears start turning in my head.
Oh no.
I have a thing that kind of leads into asking both of you like a filmmaking question. So,
Okay.
Cronenberg on the commentary track, he said that for a long time he avoided putting title cards over actual scenes in the movie as they're playing out. And he said he preferred like a sort of vestibule approach, as he called it, where there's a dedicated title sequence set to music or something, right? In this, you've got the oneer where the optical titles show up, you know, as the scene's playing out. Apparently,
Really cool.
Yeah.
Apparently, he associated putting title cards over actual scenes at the beginning with television more than movies. Like, how do you guys feel? That's the first time I've ever heard someone make that association. Because, like, thanks to shit like Mr. Robot, I'm the opposite. I think title cards over real scenes are actually almost more cinematic than, like, a James Bond-esque title sequence. Do you both agree with what Cronenberg said, or do you feel that's really outdated?
I get what he's saying there, because I do know that, particularly in, like, American TV, like, the first couple minutes of an episode will have those credits kind of playing over them, so I get that association. I think it can be used interestingly, though. I guess it just kind of depends on how you go about it. I think it's cool here. Yeah.
T-Man. Tanner.
I'm gonna be honest, I fucking love when there are credits over the movie scene. I don't really care for it in TV much, because usually it's kind of done boringly. But when it's done in the movie, it usually has some modicum of creativity towards it. If nothing else than other than how it's positioned relative to the scene. But then, like, I just saw a movie this year that I just saw a movie this year. I'm struggling to remember. Honey Don't had the opening credits like kind of CGI'd or special effects into the scene looking like graffiti or street signs from the area. And I love shit like that. Honey Don't is an okay movie. That's just an example of cool opening credits that come to mind.
It starts off really strong, and then it drops off heavily. Heavily.
You know that one scene.
I never.
I did not get to see it while I was in the theaters. I tried, but
when I was sitting there, I swear to God, I heard someone else in the theater go, "Oh,
interesting," during
that scene. But what was even more interesting is during that scene, I think is when someone walked out.
Just a specific Parks and Rec fan, like crossing their arms, walking out.
That is not how Aubrey Plaza's character acted. Oh, she wasn't a lesbian in that show. All right. Well, I think we've all kind of gotten most of our thoughts of History of Violence out of the way. So we'll move on to our final thoughts. Austin, we'll start with you. Final thoughts on A History of Violence.
Like when Ingmar Bergman dropped The Seventh Seal and Wild Strawberries, or when Kubrick dropped 2001 and A Clockwork Orange, David Cronenberg has never in his life cooked harder than when he made A History of Violence and Eastern Promises back to back. The surface story about a man with a dark past is pure entertainment all by itself, and the rich layers of subtext and the detailed character acting push it up into being one of the best films of the 2000s. I love this movie. It's not streaming anywhere officially, but you can check it out for free on Dailymotion for some reason. If it piqued your curiosity, go look it up.
Really?
That's my final thoughts.
I remember Dailymotion as the website back in the day that they let women be topless in.
True.
Watched some weird softcore pornography when I was 12. Tim, final thoughts on A History of Violence.
So funny that you brought up that it's not streaming anywhere. I had to rent this on Vudu.
So did I.
AKA Fandango at home is what they call it now. The funniest part of that, though, was like I typed in a space and just saw a Serbian film free with ads, which is just a.
And you watched that immediately, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do think it'd be very funny if it just went newborn and then a fucking ad played. That would be the funniest ad space in movie history.
I feel like there's a lot of ad breaks you could make in a Serbian film that would be fun. If anything, ads would make that movie better.
Maybe. But yeah, no, History of Violence, very good movie. One of Cronenberg's best for sure. Viggo Mortensen absolutely killing it. I haven't seen enough of what Viggo has done outside of the Lord of the Rings movies to really have an authoritative say on what his like best performances are. But this
we'll start with Green Book.
Yeah.
Truly racism bad actually. What a thought. But yeah, no, this is a great movie. Definitely check it out where you can. If you have the opportunity to see this on a 35mm print, definitely check it out that way. But yeah, just good old movie overall. Back to you, Taylor.
Viggo Mortensen's character in this movie was originally supposed to be Italian, but when they cast Ed Harris in the movie, they went, well, Ed Harris isn't Italian, so they made him Irish mobsters instead. And apparently there was a thing going around where Cronenberg or someone in the production of the movie was like, I don't know if Viggo can play Italian. Anyway, he was nominated for an Oscar for Green Book. Please look up his ethnicity in that movie. History of Violence is an amazing movie. It's a perfect movie. It perfectly distills my personal philosophy about violence down to a T. So much so that if you watch this movie and walk away going, violence should be done more, bad boy. I think there are a lot of movies that depict violence in some level. There are movies that don't depict violence at all, but the movies that do depict violence, I think this is the one that properly gives weight to it. Ephus, however, non-violent movie.
Damn it.
Many Tanners are saying this.
Watch Ephus. That's right, baby. You are gonna watch Ephus after watching A History of Violence, and thank you so much for watching / listening to this episode of Bomb Squad Matinee. If you are listening on any of the audio platforms we're on, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. about you leave us a review? It helps boost us in the algorithm or something. I don't know. I just work here, of course. If you are listening, how much money on donate our Patreon? The $5 tier gets you access to commentary tracks, and the $10 tier gets you a shot at the end of the episode. So my mom, Tanya Kraft, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. How about you on over the Bomb Squad Productions.shop? We got merch now. We got shirts. We got hoodies, posters, magnets, some stickers. We got some stuff. Buy. Give us money. Give me your money right now. My checking account and routing number is 1 2.
Ah,
Whoa. Oh, whoa.
1 2
I don't
3
actually know that
4,
off the top of
5.
my. It's my PIN number is 7.
Just 7.
And if you are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I'll put your mosey on down over the comment section below and let me know what's your favorite David Cronenberg movie. What's your favorite movie about a mistaken identity? What do you think of A History of Violence? Do you think it's Viggo Mortensen's best performance? And if not, what do you think is his best performance? How about the sex scenes? What did you think of those sex scenes? You like fucking? Tell me if you like fucking. And finally, tell me about the greatest act of violence you've ever done in specific detail, and also give me the number to your local police department. Unrelated reasons. And while you're down there, hit the like button so we know how much you like us. Hit the subscribe button so we know how much you love us. Hit the bell icon to know exactly when we upload new videos. Thank you, as always, so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Tune in next week when, after talking about my favorite David Cronenberg movie, we're talking about my favorite movie from another David director. That's right, we are going to be discussing David Lynch's absolute masterpiece, The Elephant Man. Also starring an actor with the surname Hurt. A lot to think about here. A lot of parallels going on. Should be a good time, I think.
It's not going to be fun.
If nothing else, I think it's probably, it's going to be a movie. David Lynch's most accessible movie, probably. We'll see you then. Bye.
Farewell.
You think your family dinners are awkward?
Hard stop.
I slid my ticket across the table and I said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."